A few years ago, in a suburb of Damascus, a man called Ali used to live a good life. He had a degree in science and also worked as a storyteller once a week in one of the most popular coffee shops of Damascus. Like everyone there, he was affected by what happened recently to his beautiful country. As anyone who lives in a city experiencing unrest, Ali made sure to be home early and to close his door and curtains. One evening, he wanted to have a peaceful evening and to continue reading the new book he had bought. He made a cup of tea with cinnamon and sat on his favorite couch near the heater. He was relaxed in his comfort zone and ready to sleep, but the book was exciting, so he wanted to read more. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door hard and almost broke it.
Open the fucking door! Open it right now!
Ali opened the door and a dozen soldiers entered his house. Two of them arrested Ali and the others searched the place for money and valuable things to steal. This was happening in the whole neighborhood. The army brought city buses to carry away all these prisoners. Ali was handcuffed and his head was covered. His sin was he lived in a city where demonstrations happen. After the interrogation and warm welcome that included every part of his body, they sent him to a cell full of prisoners. The prisoners tried to give him the moral support which they themselves needed as well. To be imprisoned, especially when you are innocent, casts a heavy shadow on the soul. Names and dates written and engraved on cell walls, each of which tells a different story of suffering and a dark fate.
The time is so slow that I feel every part of each second, as if time is participating in my punishment and torture. After a few days, one of the guards comes and calls my name. He opens the door for me to walk out.
I know who you are. You are the storyteller at the old coffee shop. I want you to do something.
What do you want?
To tell a story. This must stay between us. My boss went for a break and he will come back after an hour. So, make it worthwhile.
I am silently trying to understand what's going on, but I am clueless.
Here, you are going to meet a woman with her child. Her husband is a fugitive, and she was arrested instead of him over 5 years ago. The boy will be 4 years tomorrow, and I want you to tell him a story.
I enter the room and say, "Hello?" But there is no answer. A woman is sitting in the corner of the cell. She looks at me with anger and hatred. But a little boy with big brown eyes comes up to me to check who is this strange visitor. It is an awkward situation, and I feel unwelcome. So I say, "I came to tell the boy a story." I sit near the door, and the boy approaches and sits in front of me. Once upon a time, there was a bird.
What is that? A bird?
His question is like a bucket of cold water poured on my head. For a minute I cannot say anything. Then I begin to explain to him in a simple way about this little creature that can fly. Then I go back to the story. The bird was sitting in a tree.
What is a tree?
At that moment, I feel helpless and suffocated, and I could not bear to stay for another minute. I ask the guard to take me out, to take me back to my cell.
Shame! You are well educated. I thought you would do better.
I asked him to bring me a pen and some paper for the next time, so I can use it to draw things to explain.
No promises, but I'll see what I can do.
The next day he comes at the same time and he puts in my hand a piece of charcoal. I go with him to their cell determined to finish the story. I started by introducing myself properly this time as a storyteller, and then I asked the boy his name.
I don't know, but some of the guards called me bastard. What is a bastard?
I say it means that he is a good and respectful person.
Then I'll call you Mr. Bastard too.
He was so pure and innocent that I did not felt any offense at all. I start to tell the story and to draw a wall on the walls and repeat the name of the pictures for him to memorize them. The next day, I'm thinking of doing something else. I bring a piece of bread saved from my meal. I break it into small pieces, which I put it in the boy's hands. Then raise him high to put the bread on the edge of the tiny window next to the roof. Is it my lucky day? A bird comes to the window and starts to eat the bread. It is a swallow. It comes inside the cell, flies in circles for a few seconds, and then flies out of the window. The heart of the child almost stops because of the joy of what he sees. The next morning, they tell me that they are going to move me to another prison. After 30 minutes, I realize that a deal has been made to set me free. My family have paid money, and I have to leave the country in less than 24 hours. And that's what happened. I have become like the swallow, moving from one country to another. I cannot find my way home. I miss the world inside the boy's eyes and try to tell the story of the boy and his mother everywhere. My curiosity makes me ask questions permanently. Did I do enough? What would you have done in my place?
Mahmoud Darwish wrote, "The war will end, leaders shake hands, the old woman is still waiting for her martyred son. That girl is waiting for her beloved husband, and the children are waiting for their heroic father. I do not know who sold the homeland, but I saw who paid the price."
Now, each night I can see the trace of that charcoal on my hands, but I cannot sleep without having permission.
Good night, Mr. Bastard.
Good night, my son.